I've worked as a 911 dispatcher for 8 years in Cedar Falls, Iowa. Thought I'd heard every possible human nightmare until I got a call at 3:27 a.m. last Tuesday. The voice was small. A little girl, maybe 7 or 8, speaking quietly like she was afraid someone might hear. "My daddy's doing something weird to mommy in the garage. She hasn't moved for an hour." Standard procedure. I requested the address, dispatched a patrol unit. The girl gave me Maple Street, house number 1247. Old neighborhood where houses sit far apart, surrounded by tall oak trees that block out most of the streetlights. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Emily Harrison." I pulled up the database while keeping her talking. Harrison family. James, 34, works at Henderson's auto shop. Sarah, 31, third grade teacher at Lincoln Elementary. Daughter Emily, age 8. Everything checked out perfectly. "Emily, where are you right now?" "Hiding in my bedroom closet. Daddy thinks I'm asleep." Through the phone came a distant metallic scraping sound, like someone dragging something heavy across concrete. Then silence, then scraping again. "Police are on their way, Emily. Stay where you are." "Okay, can you talk to me? I'm scared." "Of course I could. That's part of the job. Keep victims calm until help arrives." "Tell me about your room, Emily." "What color are the walls?" "Pink. Mommy painted them last year. There's unicorn stickers everywhere." The scraping stopped. I heard footsteps on what sounded like wooden stairs, heavy boots climbing slowly. "Emily, is your daddy coming upstairs?" Silence for maybe 10 seconds, then a whisper so quiet I had to turn up my headset volume. "He's in the hallway, walking really slow, like he's looking for something." My screen showed the patrol unit was still 4 minutes out. Rural Iowa isn't known for quick response times. "Stay quiet, honey, don't make any noise." The footsteps stopped. I could hear Emily's breathing, quick and shallow. Then a new sound through the phone. A door creaking open. Not her door, another door down the hall. "He's checking my parents' room," Emily whispered. "But Mommy's not there. She's still in the garage." Something cold crawled up my spine, the way she said it, like she knew something she shouldn't know. "Emily, how do you know Mommy's still in the garage?" I watched through the window. Daddy put her in the big freezer, the one where we keep the deer meat. My hands started shaking. I'd handled hundreds of domestic violence calls, but something about this one felt different. Wrong in a way I couldn't name. The footsteps started again, closer now. "He's coming to my room," Emily whispered. I could hear it too through the phone. Slow, deliberate steps on creaky floorboards, getting louder. "Stay hidden, Emily. Police are almost there." The footsteps stopped right outside her door. I held my breath. Emily held hers. Then I heard something that made my blood freeze. A voice, deep, gravelly, speaking through the bedroom door. "Emily, are you awake, princess?" But here's the thing that still keeps me up at night. That voice asking the question. It was the same voice that had been talking to me for the past 10 minutes. Emily's voice. I looked at my call log. The number that had called in was listed under James Harrison, Emily's father. "Emily," I whispered into my headset. "Emily, are you still there?" Silence. Then a giggle. High-pitched and sweet and absolutely terrifying. "She can't come to the phone right now," said the voice that sounded exactly like an 8-year-old girl. "She's sleeping in the garage with Mommy." The line went dead. When officers arrived at 1247 Maple Street, they found the house empty. No sign of the Harrison family, no car in the driveway, no furniture inside. The realtor's sign in the front yard said the house had been vacant for 6 months, but in the garage, they found something. Scratches on the concrete floor, like someone had been dragging something heavy. And in the corner, an old chest freezer, unplugged and empty, except for the smell, sweet and metallic like copper pennies left in the sun. I quit my job the next week, but sometimes when I'm lying in bed at 3:27 a.m., my phone rings. And when I answer, I hear a little girl's voice asking if I want to play hide and seek. I never answer anymore. But the calls keep coming every Tuesday night, right on time. The worst part? Last week, I decided to look up the Harrison family. Found out they'd died in a murder-suicide 3 years ago. Father killed his wife and daughter, then himself. Police found them in the garage of their house on Maple Street. The same house I'd been getting calls from. The same house that's been empty for 6 months. Emily Harrison has been dead for 3 years, but she still calls every Tuesday at 3:27 a.m., asking for help that never came. And sometimes, in the background of her calls, I can hear her father's voice, getting closer, always getting closer. The calls stopped coming last week. I thought maybe Emily had finally found peace, but then I realized the truth. She doesn't need to call anymore, because now she knows where I live. Last Tuesday at 3:27 a.m., I heard small footsteps in my hallway, a child's voice whispering outside my bedroom door. Want to play hide and seek? I'm moving to another state next week. Different job, different phone number, but I know it won't matter. Some calls follow you wherever you go. If you enjoyed this chilling tale, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more terrifying stories. And in the next video, you'll discover what happens when a family moves into a house where the previous owners never really left. Route 287 through the Texas Panhandle is one of those highways that stretches forever into nothing. Just endless black asphalt cutting through grassland so flat you can see the curve of the earth at the horizon. I drive long-haul trucks for Morrison Freight. Been doing it for 15 years. Know every truck stop, every mile marker, every speed trap between Dallas and Denver. Never believed in ghost stories or supernatural nonsense until I started taking the midnight runs. Company pays extra for overnight deliveries and I needed the money. Divorce attorney fees don't pay themselves. So I volunteered for the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shifts, hauling electronics from Fort Worth to Colorado Springs. First few runs were normal. Empty highway, country music on the radio, coffee keeping me alert through the small hours. Just me and the 18-wheelers heading north through the darkness. But somewhere around mile marker 73, things started getting strange. It began with the radio. Classic country station I always listened to would start crackling with static right at that spot. Not unusual, rural areas have dead zones. But when the static cleared, the music was different. Older. Songs I'd never heard but somehow recognized, like half-remembered dreams. The voices singing were too clear, too close, like the performers were sitting in my cab instead of broadcasting from some distant tower. Then I started seeing the other truck. Big rig, older model Peterbilt, probably from the 80s. Faded blue paint job and chrome that caught my headlights like mirrors. Always appeared in my rear view around mile marker 71, keeping perfect pace about a quarter mile back. Never got closer. Never fell behind, just followed. First time I figured it was another driver on the same route. Truckers do that sometimes. Convoy up for safety or company. But when I tried to raise him on the CB radio, got nothing but static. And when I pulled into the truck stop at Childress for fuel, the blue Peterbilt never showed up. Week after week, same thing. Mile marker 71, blue truck appears. Mile marker 89, it vanishes like clockwork. I started timing it. 12:47 a.m., the radio would start crackling. 12:48, the old country music. 12:49, blue truck in my mirrors. Always the same sequence. Started getting curious about it. Curious enough to do something stupid. Instead of maintaining speed, I gradually slowed down, letting the blue truck catch up. It took maybe 2 miles of steady deceleration before I could make out details in my mirrors. The cab was dark except for the dashboard glow. Driver was just a silhouette, but something about the shape seemed wrong. Too thin. Head tilted at an odd angle. When we were maybe 50 yards apart, the blue truck suddenly accelerated, shot past me doing at least 90, engine roaring like a banshee. As it passed, I got a clear look at the driver's side window. There was no driver, just empty space behind the wheel. But the truck kept going, perfectly straight, maintaining speed until it disappeared over a hill near mile marker 89. Should have been the end of it. Should have requested different routes, avoided Route 287 altogether. But truck drivers are stubborn, and I'd been running that highway for months without incident. Besides, I needed the overnight pay differential, so I kept taking the midnight runs. And the blue truck kept appearing. Always the same time, same place, same impossible vanishing act, until last Tuesday night, when everything changed. I was hauling a load of computer equipment, running about 30 minutes behind schedule due to a delayed pickup in Fort Worth. Hit mile marker 71 at 1:17 a.m. instead of the usual 12:47. The radio stayed clear. No static, no old country music, just the regular late-night DJ talking about weather patterns and playing modern hits. No blue truck in my mirrors. For the first time in 3 months, I was driving that stretch alone. Should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt uneasy, like something important was missing. Then I saw the accident. Mile marker 73, right side of the highway, looked fresh. Emergency flares still burning, ambulance pulling away. State trooper was directing traffic around a big rig that had jackknifed and rolled into the ditch. Faded blue Peterbilt with chrome that reflected my headlights. I pulled over, told the trooper I was a fellow driver, asked if there was anything I could do. He was young, probably new to the force, looked shaken up. Single vehicle accident, he said. Driver must have fallen asleep. Truck left the road doing about 90, rolled 3 times before coming to rest. Driver okay? The trooper shook his head. Weird thing is, we can't find him. Cab's empty. No blood, no sign of ejection. It's like he just disappeared. I looked at the wreckage. Front end was completely demolished, but I could still make out part of the license plate. Texas plates, registration from 1987. How long ago did this happen? I asked. That's the strange part. Trucker called it in maybe an hour ago. Said he'd been seeing this same rig on this route for months. Always appeared around mile marker 71. Always vanished near 89. Thought the driver might be in trouble, so he followed tonight to check. The trooper paused, looking confused. But according to DMV records, this truck was totaled in a single vehicle accident on Route 287 back in 1987. Driver named Pete Morrison fell asleep at the wheel during a midnight run. Morrison, same last name as my freight company. Any relation to Morrison Freight? I asked. The trooper nodded. Company founder's son. Pete Morrison started the overnight delivery service after his dad died. Story goes he was so determined to make the business work, he'd drive routes himself when they were short-handed. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. What happened to him? Died right here, mile marker 73. Had been running this same route every night for months, trying to build up the overnight business. Last thing he told his dispatcher was that he'd made friends with another trucker who followed the same schedule. The trooper gestured toward the wreckage. Guess he's been running that route ever since. I quit Morrison Freight the next morning. Told them I was taking a job with local deliveries, no more long haul. Didn't mention the blue truck or Pete Morrison or the accident that happened 37 years ago. But sometimes when I'm driving local routes through Texas, I tune to the old country stations, and once in a while, late at night, I hear music that sounds too clear, too close. Songs from 1987, sung by voices that should have been silenced decades ago. And I wonder if Pete Morrison is still out there, making his midnight runs, trying to build a business that died with him on Route 287, looking for other drivers to keep him company on that long, dark highway to nowhere. Hope you found that story as unsettling as I did living through it. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more real encounters with the supernatural. Next time, I'll tell you about the apartment building in Chicago where tenants keep paying rent to someone who's been dead for 20 years. The Greystone Apartments on North Ashland in Chicago seemed like a decent deal when I took the property manager job. 40-unit building in Logan Square, good neighborhood, rent prices that attracted young professionals. Should have wondered why the management company was so eager to hire me. I'm Sarah Chen. Been in property management for 6 years. Meridian Properties offered me double my usual salary to manage Greystone. Said it was a challenging property that needed experienced oversight. First week went smoothly. Collected rent, handled maintenance requests, got familiar with the building. Tenants seemed normal. Everyone paid on time, no major complaints. But I started noticing odd patterns in the rental records. Unit 4B, tenant listed as Margaret Kowalski, rent paid monthly by automatic transfer, never missed a payment in 12 years. But when I knocked to introduce myself, got no answer. Never saw lights on, never heard movement inside. Same with 2A, Harold Brennan, perfect payment history going back 15 years. No response when I knocked. Mailbox always empty. I tried to contact them directly. Margaret's phone went to a disconnected line. Harold's emergency contact was his sister in Milwaukee, but when I called, she told me Harold had died in 2018. He lived in that building for years, but he passed away from cancer 6 years ago. I checked the records again. Harold's rent payments had continued every month since 2018. Same bank account, same automatic transfer. Margaret was even stranger. According to city records, no one by that name had ever held a Chicago driver's license. But the rent kept coming. Every month on time for apartments that seemed empty. I brought this up with Meridian Properties. The regional manager seemed uncomfortable with my questions. Some tenants are very private. As long as rent is paid, we don't pry. But I don't think anyone actually lives in these units. The payments are current. That's all that matters. I started paying closer attention at night. Most units showed normal signs of occupancy, but 2A and 4B remained dark and silent. So did 3 others. 5 apartments with perfect payment histories and no signs of life. Then I found the ledger. Cleaning out the office, I discovered a handwritten rental ledger tucked behind a filing cabinet. Old leather-bound book with entries dating back to 1924. The handwriting changed over decades, but margin notes were consistent. Next to Margaret Kowalski's entry, passed away December 15th, 2011, pneumonia. Rent continues per arrangement. Next to Harold Brennan, deceased August 3rd, 2018, cancer. Rent continues per arrangement. Similar notations for the other mystery tenants. All dead, some for decades, all still paying rent. I found a loose page near the back, typed on an old typewriter. Greystone Apartments, special arrangements building constructed on site of former Restmore Cemetery, relocated 1923. Property management includes responsibility for maintaining tenancy arrangements with previous residents. Do not attempt to terminate these arrangements. Accept the situation. Collect the rent. Ask no questions. City records confirmed Restmore Cemetery had occupied this site until 1923. The cemetery was relocated for the apartment building, but relocation records were incomplete. Some graves were unmarked. Construction began before the full notice period expired. People were probably still buried under the building. All the mystery tenants had died while living at Greystone, and somehow continued their tenancy arrangements posthumously. The question was, who was paying their rent? A friend at First National checked the payment sources. She couldn't give details but confirmed something strange. The payments come from accounts that were closed years ago. The money just appears. That night, I did something stupid. I went to Unit 4B with my master key. The apartment was furnished like someone lived there. Personal belongings, clothes, food in the refrigerator, but everything was covered in dust, untouched for years. Photos on the walls showed an elderly woman around Chicago, Margaret Kowalski, but the photos looked decades old. The strangest thing was the temperature. Even though it was July, Unit 4B was freezing cold. I could see my breath. I was examining a photo when I heard footsteps in the hallway, slow shuffling steps. The footsteps stopped outside 4B's door. I held my breath. After 30 seconds, I heard a key turning in the lock, but I was inside. I had the only master key. The door opened slowly. No one came in, but the temperature dropped another 10 degrees. Then I heard a voice, elderly woman, speaking softly. "You shouldn't be here, dear. This is my home." I turned toward the voice, but saw nothing, just the open doorway. "I pay my rent on time. I've been a good tenant for years." The photographs started moving, not falling, moving, rearranging themselves like invisible hands were repositioning them. "Please leave now. I don't like visitors." I ran, didn't lock the door, didn't stop, just ran out of the building. Next morning, Unit 4B was locked tight, but there was an envelope under my office door. No postmark, just my name in shaky handwriting. Inside was a note and a check for next month's rent. "Ms. Chen, thank you for understanding. I appreciate your discretion. Please find enclosed August rent payment. I hope we can continue our professional relationship without further interruptions. Margaret Kowalski." The check was drawn on an account closed in 2011. I deposited it anyway. It cleared without problems. I still manage Greystone Apartments, still collect rent from Margaret and Harold and 3 other tenants who died years ago, still maintain their apartments, still respond to their occasional maintenance requests. They're actually better tenants than most living ones. Always pay on time, never complain, keep their units clean. As long as I don't ask questions about their circumstances, they don't cause problems. But sometimes late at night during security rounds, I hear sounds from their apartments. Footsteps, running water, muffled conversations, sounds of people living normal lives in spaces that should be empty. I don't investigate anymore. I learned my lesson about disturbing arrangements I don't understand. Besides, the rent check's always clear, and in property management, that's all that really matters, even when your tenants have been dead for years. If this story sent chills down your spine, smash that like button and subscribe for more supernatural encounters. Coming up next week, I'll share the terrifying truth about what happens when you answer a help wanted ad for a job that doesn't exist.